What is going on, football fans? I am excited to be back with my latest mock draft, my mock draft 3.0. I, of course, did one early in the process, one after the Combine, and now I want to do one after free agency. And a lot of teams' needs have changed because of it. Of course, we had a lot of shakeup in free agency. The Jets went out there. They got Mosley and Bell. The Giants, of course, traded Odell Beckham. They brought in Zeitler. A lot of big changes. The Packers added a lot. The Packers added 2 big-time pass rushers, and I thought the Packers would probably go pass rusher with their 12th pick, but free agency changed that for me. As they went out there, they got Za'Darius and Preston Smith. They also went out and got Adrian Amos, a guy that I really wanted my Giants to target in the secondary. So a lot of teams' names have changed based on free agency. And before I get started, I just want to say I have, just like my last mock, I have fully bought into Kyler Murray going to the Cardinals at number 1, but that means somebody has to obtain Josh Rosen, which also will change who the team drafts in my mock. And in this mock, I had the New York Giants going out there and getting Josh Rosen for this year's second-round pick and a future second-round pick. So that is going to shake up the draft a little bit. But let's get right into it. As I said, I have fully bought into Kyler Murray going number 1 to the Arizona Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury has been on record that he loves this guy. They are not even hiding it. I really think Murray is going to go to the Cardinals. Yes, he has question marks with his size, but he has demonstrated that he could throw the football. He was great in college. I mean, he won the Heisman Trophy, and his pro day was phenomenal. So I really like Murray here to go to the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sticking with it. That brings us to number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the San Francisco 49ers did go out there and they got D Ford, and a lot of people know that they need to get a pass rush. They have not had a pass rush for quite some time, and they have focused on the interior line in recent drafts. D Ford is an exterior lineman, a guy who's going to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, we don't know yet what system the Niners are going to play. Is it going to be a 3-4 or 4-3? We don't know yet. They are not fully committed. But that being said, I still think Bosa makes too much sense here to the 49ers. Even with the acquisition of D Ford, they're going to have 2 premium pass rushers now. I like the Niners to go out there and get Nick Bosa, and they're going to have a scary defense next year. At number 3, that brings us to the New York Jets. And for the Jets here, it's between 2 players. And in my opinion, the 2 best players in this year's draft, the 2 guys I like the most, it's between Josh Allen and Quinnen Williams. I think Quinnen Williams is slightly better. I think he's the best player in this draft. Very close, though. But the Jets need an edge rusher. They've needed an edge rusher since John Abraham. They have not had a consistent push. So, with that being said, I think they go out there, they take Josh Allen. I think he's the best fit for them here at 3. I absolutely love Josh Allen. I would die if he ever fell to my Giants at 6, but I don't think the Jets pass him up here. I got the Jets taking Josh Allen at number 3. That now brings us to the Oakland Raiders at number 4. The Raiders, of course, went out there. They made a ton of trades this year. They acquired 3 first-round picks in this year's draft. But at number 4, they are going to get the best available player in this draft. My number 1, Quinnen Williams. I absolutely love this kid. A guy that most people didn't even think was going to be drafted in this year's draft before the season started. He went and he converted to the D-tackle. He was an edge rusher when he started at college. And he's so athletic for the position. He went out there. He had a terrific combine. I think he ran about a 4.84. Very athletic. He's going to get after the pass rusher. And he projects to be one of these modern-day defensive tackles. A guy that can get after the quarterback. A guy that I expect to have double-digit sacks. So I love Quinnen Williams here to the Oakland Raiders. Going out there and improving their defense after they really spent on the offensive end. I expect them to look at the defense in this year's draft. That brings us to number 5, the Tampa Bay Bucs. Now, this is a premium trade down spot here for the Bucs, but I didn't have them doing it because there's not really a slam dunk pick here. They go a lot of ways here. They go offensive line, they go pass rush, they go cornerback. I've seen them all over the map in mocks, and I agree because they have a lot of holes. The offense to me was a strength for this team last year, but, well, not really a strength, but much better than the defense. But I think that they're going to play it safe here, and they're going to go for the best available tackle, and that's Jawan Taylor. I like them to take Jawan Taylor from the Florida Gators at number 5 to the Tampa Bay Bucs. Which now brings me to my New York Giants. Now, every mock draft in the world has the Giants taking Dwayne Haskins. But in my mock, I had them taking Josh Rosen via trade, which opens this spot up. Now, if you read the rumors, the Giants don't seem to be interested in Dwayne Haskins, but it's only rumors. It's only hearsay. And the Giants could certainly still take Haskins here at 6. And if they had not traded for Rosen in my mock, it is very possible I would have had the Giants still taking Haskins here at 6. But the fact that I had them acquiring Rosen via trade for this year's second-round pick, I'm going to have them go out there and take the guy who I like the most in this year's draft, and that is Devin White. This guy is an absolute animal. He had a killer combine. I knew he would. Former running back, converted to linebacker at the collegiate level, and he's an absolute beast. Great side-to-side quickness, animal, fits the Giants. The Giants have not had a great linebacker, guy in the middle since Antonio Pierce, really, and they haven't drafted one in forever. And I think the Giants try to get back to their ways. I think they take a good, safe pick here, a guy they think they could build the team around for years to come. So they got two good leaders here now in Devin White and Saquon Barkley, of course, from last year's draft. So with their first-round selection, I got the Giants taking Devin White. At number 7, that brings us to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars went out there and they brought in a big-time quarterback. The biggest free agent quarterback on the market in Nick Foles. Now, the problem with that is Nick Foles doesn't have any weapons. So at number 7, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going out there and getting themselves a weapon. Now, a lot of people think that they could go tight end here. Hockenson fits their offense. I think DK Metcalf blew people away at the Combine, and I think he blew the Jaguars away. I'm going to have DK Metcalf going to the Jaguars. I mean, that guy's Combine was ridiculous. He had like a 4.3-something 40. He weighs like 220 pounds for a man to move like that. Under 2% body fat. And he's a beast. Now, people say he struggles with his route running, but I think he's too big of a talent. I think he's too good here to pass up for the Jaguars, who are in desperate need of a weapon. So I like the Jaguars to go out there and get themselves a wide receiver. At number 8, that brings us to the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions did go out there and they acquired Trey Flowers, who was probably the best available pass rusher on the open market after everybody was franchised. But I still think they could use a very athletic edge rusher. Trey Flowers is very good, and he's a guy that you can move around. I really like him for that team. He was one of my favorite free agent acquisitions in this year's offseason. Now, they did spend a lot, but it was a good pickup for the Lions. But here, I like the guy that really showed a lot at the Combine, and he's got high upside. I love Montez Sweat for the Detroit Lions here at 8. I think he projects as a premium pass rusher at the NFL level. Now, people say he needs to work on his technique, but the athleticism is there. And I, as a Giant fan, know that a lot of time athleticism pans out in the NFL. I mean, the Giants took 2 defensive ends based on athleticism in their drafts, and that was Osi Umenyiora and JPP. JPP had a killer combine. I remember doing all the backflips, this, that, the other thing. And the Giants took a defensive lineman based on that. So we know there's been prior success, especially as Giants fans, for taking an athletic pass rusher. And the Giants, I was considering taking them there at 6. But I'm going to have them going to the Lions here. Good pick for the Lions at 8. At number 9, I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills. Now, a lot of people have the Buffalo Bills taking offensive line, and I had the Bills taking offensive line in my previous 2 mock drafts. The Buffalo Bills addressed the offensive line somewhat in free agency, and I really would like them to go out and get a weapon. Now, they added weapons. They added a Cole Beasley. They added a couple of nice wide receivers, right? But I really like Hockenson here to the Bills at tight end. He's going to help with the blocking, and he's going to bring a weapon at the tight end spot. He's going to open up that offense. I like Hockenson here. I really do. I'm going to have the Bills taking T.J. Hockenson at number 9. At number 10, that brings us to the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos could go Drew Lock. We've heard all the rumors that John Elway loves Drew Lock, and Drew Lock's here, and so is Dwayne Haskins. He is falling down my draft. But I'm going to have the Denver Broncos sticking with Joe Flacco at the quarterback and maybe projecting to take a quarterback in next year's draft. I'm going to have them taking the same guy I did in my last mock. Greedy Williams at number 10 to the Broncos. He's going to go in there. He's going to help out their secondary. A tall, fast cornerback, high upside. People say he struggles with his tackling somewhat, but I think they're going to be enamored with that athleticism and that height. 6'2", 185. I like him here to the Denver Broncos at number 10. At number 11, that brings us to the Cincinnati Bengals. Another team that could certainly go quarterback here. They could take Haskins, but I'm not going to have them doing that. They have Andy Dalton under contract for 2 more years. They have not traded Andy Dalton. So with that being said, I think they play it safe. I think they look for a guy that they could build their franchise around for the next 15 years. That team certainly needs stability. I mean, they're a dumpster fire right now. They need to have a safe pick here. I really believe that, and that is why I'm going to have the Cincinnati Bengals going out there and taking Jonah Williams of Alabama. Jonah Williams was projected to be a top 4 or 5 pick not too long ago in this year's draft, or potentially, and I like him here. I like him here to the Bengals. They could use offensive line help. He's a very good offensive lineman, and the Bengals are going to take him here at 11. At number 12, that brings us to the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Green Bay Packers, my first 2 mock drafts, I had them taking a pass rusher. Clay Matthews departing, they need a pass rusher. But the Packers went out there and they added Zadarius and Preston Smith. So they really shored that pass rush up via free agency. And they certainly could still go pass rush here. And there's still some very good names here. Brian Burns, Rashan Gary. But the fact that they spent as much as they did in free agency, I'm going to have them playing it safe here as well, improving that offensive line for Aaron Rodgers and going out there and getting Andre Dillard. Dillard, very athletic offensive lineman, had a very good combine. I like the Packers here to go Andre Dillard at number 12. At number 13, that brings us to the Miami Dolphins, and this is going to be our second quarterback off the board. The Dolphins, of course, traded Ryan Tannehill, and a lot of people think they are rumored to be in the Josh Rosen sweepstakes. But in this mock, I had the Giants getting him, which leaves the Dolphins without a quarterback, and they got one that falls into their lap right here. A quarterback who I like a lot out of Ohio State, and I think he brings hope to the Miami Dolphins fan base. It's a very good pick here. You're not having to trade up. You're getting very good value at 13. Dwayne Haskins to the Miami Dolphins at 13. At number 14, we have the Atlanta Falcons up. And everybody knows the Atlanta Falcons' weakness, especially over last year. Now, I will say, the Falcons had a ton of injuries to that defense last year. They recently went to a Super Bowl, so everybody knows they still have talent on this team. But I think their biggest weakness is on the defensive side of the football, and they could certainly use a pass rusher here. And that is why I'm going to have them taking Rashan Gary. I think they're getting very good value here in Gary. Gary, of course, coming out of Michigan, the former #1 overall high school prospect in 2016. And what I like about Gary is that you can move him around. He could play in the interior and exterior. I think it's a very good fit here for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's going to help their defense. So I got Gary going 14 to the Falcons. At number 15, that brings us to the Washington Redskins. Now, a lot of people think the Redskins could possibly take a quarterback here, and Drew Lock is still on the board. Daniel Jones is still on the board. That being said, they went out there, they got Keenum, they got Alex Smith potentially coming back next year, and you have a good quarterback class next year. I think the Redskins need to work on that defense. I really do. So I'm going to have the Redskins going out there and getting the guy who I think is the best available player in this year's draft at this point, Brian Burns, the edge rusher out of Florida State. I like the Redskins to address the pass rush here with Brian Burns after they lost Smith. So Burns to the Redskins. At number 16, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers had a very good free agency period in terms of value. They got Matt Paradis, who might have been the best valued free agent, in my opinion. To get him for $9 million a year, most people had him going for 12 or 13, arguably the best center in all of football. And then they bring back a guy who I thought my Giants would be interested in Darrell Williams for the tackle position on a one-year deal, of course, coming off an injury. So I really liked what the Panthers did for that offense and that offensive line. So I'm going to have them focusing on the defense here. In my previous mocks, I had them going wide receiver. But I like them to go pass rusher here. I really do. Clellin Ferrell of Clemson. Guy's got a lot of talent. Had a mediocre combine, but I really like him here to the Panthers at 16. I think Ferrell fits in nicely with Carolina. At number 17, that brings us to my New York Football Giants. Now, the Giants, of course, traded Odell Beckham, and this is one of the picks that they got. They also got a late third, and they got themselves a safety in Jabril Peppers. They could go a lot of ways here, but in this mock, we've already had, 3 or 4 offensive linemen off the board. We've had a ton of pass rushers full of Gary, Burns, Ferrell, of course, Sweat. So, and obviously the guys early in the draft. We've had a lot of pass rushers off, a lot of offensive linemen. The Giants could really use help in that secondary, the cornerback position specifically. Going into the year, as of now, they're starting Sam Beal at the corner spot. Has a lot of ability. And obviously, Janoris Jenkins at the other side. But everybody knows we're cutting Jenkins next year. And they could certainly use a guy that could potentially beat out Beal for that second spot this season. And there's a guy here I like. Now, maybe a slight reach here, but I really like him. Deandre Baker. I love his upside, and I love this pick for the New York Giants. They get Baker, and they really solidify that secondary for years to come. At number 18, that brings us to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings have a clear weakness here, and that is the offensive line. And I've had them going offensive line in all three of my mocks now. And, I mean, they went out there and they got Cousins last year. They need to protect him. They have the weapons on offense, and they have a very good defense. Their biggest hole by far is the O-line. And that is why I got them getting a very athletic offensive lineman here from Oklahoma, Cody Ford, going number 18 to the Minnesota Vikings. At number 19, I've got the Tennessee Titans up. And the Titans could really use a weapon here. They really can. And the Titans had a great offseason. Great free agency period. They really did. And they brought in a wide receiver in Adam Humphries. A slot guy, but I really like that pickup. They made a bunch of other good pickups as well. But I think they could use a big-time playmaker. A guy that could take the top off of defense. And I think it is a perfect fit here for Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans to go out there and get another Oklahoma Sooner. Hollywood Brown, number 19 to the Titans. I think he adds a lot of explosiveness to that offense. At number 20, the Steelers are up. Now, the Steelers have had a lot of turnover here. They lost their two best offensive weapons. But I still think Connor is going to do well there at the running back spot. They still have a very good offensive line. Their biggest weakness is on defense and the cornerback spot. They desperately need a corner. They really do. And that is why I like the Steelers to go out there and get the cornerback from Washington, Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy, very athletic. Really like him here. Really like him here to the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 21, that brings us to the Seattle Seahawks. And everybody remembers the Legion of Boom, that great secondary they had over there. I think they need to build that back up. And I had them going safety in my last mock. I had them going Adderley. In this one, I'm going to have them taking Deionte Thompson. I know he didn't participate in the Combine, but I really like Thompson. I think he's the best safety in this year's draft, and I think the Seahawks will too, which is why I have Seattle taking Thompson at 21. At 22, the Ravens are up. Ravens, of course, have a great defense. Great defense. And they have a young quarterback. Young quarterback who struggled last year with throwing the football, but very athletic, and hopefully he can mold into becoming a better quarterback. And what I'm going to do here for the Ravens is go out there and get themselves a tall target. A guy that could go up and catch jump balls. N'Keal Harry of Arizona State. 6'5", high upside here. I love him to go to the Ravens here and help out the passing game. So give me N'Keal Harry to Baltimore. At 23, that brings us to the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, much like the Vikings, have a ton of talent on both sides of the football. But they really struggle with that offensive line. They surrendered the most sacks in football last year. And if they don't fix this O-line soon, they're going to get Deshaun Watson killed. So at 23, I have them doing that. I have them going out there and getting James Bradbury of North Carolina State. Bradbury was being mocked as a late second-round pick before that Combine, but he went out there and he blew people away. Ran a great 40 time, was great on the bench press. Give me Bradbury at 23. At 24, that brings us to the Oakland Raiders with their second pick. Of course, the Raiders acquired this pick from the Chicago Bears or the Cowboys. I'm not sure. I don't remember what was 24, 27, but they acquired these two picks from the trades that they made. And here I continue to focus on the defense for the Raiders. As I said earlier, they really improved that offense in free agency. Now it's time for the defense. And at 24, another guy who had a killer combine. He's moved up mock drafts, and I think you're getting good value here if you're a Raider fan. Devin Bush. I believe I had Bush going at 24 to the Raiders in my last mock as well. He ran a 4.4440 at the linebacker spot. Heavy hitter. Love this guy. Little undersized. He's a tad under 6 foot, but love this guy at 24 to Oakland. At 25, that brings us to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles, we all know, are known for their push up front in recent years on both sides of the football. They lost their D tackle here, and I think they are getting great value here. This guy should be going probably in the high teens, but the Eagles get him at 25. A hybrid defensive tackle in Ed Oliver from Houston. Boomer bust here, but this guy's potential, he could end up being one of the best guys in this year's draft, and the Eagles, I think, are going to be blown away by the potential at 25. Ed Oliver to the Eagles. That now brings us to number 26, the Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts, to me, had probably the most underwhelming free agency period of any team in football because they had more cap space than anybody, and they didn't sign anyone. They re-signed Nassir, the cornerback, who my Giants were interested in. That was a good re-signing. And they went out there and they got Devin Funchess for a 1-year, $13 million contract, who they overpaid for, but I think he will fit well with Andrew Luck, of course, the quarterback. But overall, they had an underwhelming free agency period. Maybe they're saving that for next year. I don't know. But in this year's draft, I really, really like them to focus on the defense. The offensive line was fixed last year. Andrew Luck, of course, at quarterback. He's got some good weapons with Ebron, T.Y. Hilton, Funchess, the running back, Marlon Mack. They could go running back, but I like Mack in the backfield. So I have them going defense here and getting themselves a D tackle. 340-pounder out of Clemson, Dexter Lawrence. He's going to help them with the run defense. Now, of course, Lawrence tested positive for PEDs, and a lot of people think he'll fall down mock drafts because of that, draft charts because of that, but I like him here to the Colts. I really do. Dexter Lawrence at 26. At number 27, that brings us to the Oakland Raiders. And much like the Colts, the Raiders could certainly go running back here. Jacobs is still on the board. I almost thought about putting Jacobs on the Raiders here at 27. But I'm going to continue to focus on the defense for the third straight pick. They could use some help in that secondary. There's a player here that I really like out of Delaware, Nassir Adderley. The Oakland Raiders go and help their defense even more for the third straight time here in the first round. Nassir Adderley, the standout safety from Delaware, is an Oakland Raider. At number 28, that brings us to the Chargers. And the Chargers may have the most well-rounded roster in the sport. To me, it's either them or the Rams. And that's why they're so hard to pick. But one thing I'll say about the Chargers, Phillip Rivers is getting up there in age. You've seen the Saints address it. They re-signed Bridgewater. They have a guy that they think could fill in for Breeze when he retires. And I think the Chargers are going to do the same thing here at 28 if he's still on the board. Drew Lock, the quarterback from Missouri, has the golden arm, will be a San Diego Charger at 28 as he fills in for Phillip Rivers down the line. At number 29, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. And everybody knows what the Kansas City Chiefs' weakness is. Well, it might be both sides. They seem to be losing a lot of pieces. Tyreek Hill's out. But for real, they definitely need to focus on the defensive side of the football. And they lost some big pieces. Justin Houston, D. Ford. They need a pass rusher. And at 29, there's one there from Florida, Jachai Polite. Polite was being mocked much higher before the Combine. He had an underwhelming Combine, and he's dropped because of it. But at 29, you're getting good value. You're getting a guy with upside. And he's going to help that Kansas City defense. Give me Polite to the Chiefs at 29. At number 30, that brings us to the Green Bay Packers, who could use some help here. This is their second pick in the first round. They could use a spark on offense, a punch, help out Aaron Rodgers, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to get the most athletic tight end in this year's draft, Noah Fant of Iowa. Of course, I had his teammate going number 9 to the Bills. They have two standout tight ends, and I project Fant to fit in beautifully with the Packers as he will thrive with Aaron Rodgers. At number 31, that will bring us to the LA Rams, the team that lost the Super Bowl last year. And again, much like the Chargers, have a very good, well-rounded roster. A lot of their players have been acquired via free agency, but I really like their team overall. And that is why I'm going to have them going out there and getting themselves a rusher. Just help that defense a little more. They're going to get the guy from Louisiana Tech, Jaylon Ferguson. Get after the quarterback. They already have a great pass rush to begin with up front in the middle. Get themselves an edge rusher. I really like the fit. Jaylon Ferguson to the Rams at 31. And finally, the last team, the defending Super Bowl champs. I'm getting used to saying that. Tom Brady's won 6 rings. And I'm going to get Tom Brady some help here at 32. A lot of people say you go Daniel Jones, get his replacement. I like getting Brady help. I really do. We don't know what Gronk's going to do, but Parris Campbell, I think, fits perfectly with the Patriots. He's a yard-after-catch type receiver. He projects as a standout slot at the pro level. He averaged over 13 yards a carry after the catch at college for Ohio State. I think he is perfect for the Patriots and their offense. And if I'm a Jet fan and I'm a Dolphin fan, I'm hoping he doesn't go there because I think Campbell will thrive in New England under Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And I have Campbell going there at number 32. So that wraps up my third mock draft, my mock draft 3.0. Wanted to do one after free agency. I just want to thank all you guys for watching. Anybody that is new to the channel, if you like what you watch, please subscribe, drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. I will definitely be doing one leading up into the draft, probably 2 or 3 days before, as well as doing another group mock with Jet Central and Rover Sports, which we have been doing. The third one will be on JC's channel. I just want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, cheers.